Hi, how are you, students? My name is Lily Morningstar, and I'm your instructor for your Linux class. And during this lecture, I will show you how to install VirtualBox on your Windows computer and how to install Ubuntu and Red Hat Linux. So first, we need to check if your computer even able to run virtualization or if your virtualization enabled. And I'm going to share my screen in a second. Okay, now you see my brand new Windows 10 desktop that I just currently installed. And first we're going to check virtualization. And if you have one of the new computers that have virtualization enabled in the hardware, you probably will have it's already enabled. System info .exe. And we're going all the way to the bottom of this text. So let's see, Hyper-V requirements. Monitor mode extension, yes. Virtualization enabled and firmware, yes. Second level address translation, yes. And data execution, yes. So that means we can fully use our virtualization module, and we will be able to install VirtualBox. Okay, good. So now we're going to the virtualbox.org, and you can simply Google Oracle VirtualBox and find this web page, but make sure it's original web page so you can write down the address. And right now we will be installing on Windows host, so we're going to be clicking on the Windows host. And I already pre-downloaded everything, so I'm just going to go to my downloads file folder. And here's my VirtualBox. With double click, we're going to start installation process. Installation should not take long. We're going to leave everything as is without making any changes. Yes, we trust this. Make sure you download from original source. If you downloading software from unknown sources or untrusted sources, please do not install it on your computers because it could be potential unwanted program or a program that contains malware in it. VirtualBox is free and you have the address where to get it. Okay, wonderful. So we leave this check mark with the Start Oracle VirtualBox. It will take a second to kick in. Okay, so first thing first, we know we need to install Ubuntu and we need to install Red Hat. And before we even start process of installation, we need to download those. So let's go back first to our browser. Here's the address where you can get your Ubuntu. And again, you can just Google Ubuntu, but you need to make sure you download it from official resource. And you click download. And again, I already pre-downloaded everything. With Linux Red Hat, you will have to register on developer's website and then go to product downloads and you need Red Hat Enterprise. Okay, so we downloaded them all. I'm going to close this window and we're going to start new machine. First, we're going to call Ubuntu, and what version of Ubuntu it was? Let's go back to 20.0.4. Okay, so let's call it Ubuntu 24. Okay, so that's where it will be saved, VirtualBox VMs, which is okay. What type it is? It's type Linux. It's Ubuntu 64 bits. Next. 1 gig of RAM should not be efficient, but if you don't have much memory, you can leave it this way. I usually prefer to give at least 2 gigs of RAM. Um, we don't have existing virtual hard disk, and we cannot say do not add virtual hard disk, so we'll create virtual hard disk now. What type of virtual disk we would like to keep after we install it? If we create virtual box disk image, that's virtual appliance that you will be able to use only with VirtualBox. So I usually prefer to do VMDK that can be used on any virtual appliance, Hyper-V or VMware. We're gonna have it dynamically allocated, and we're not gonna split into files. We have 10 gigs of hard drive allocated to this virtual machine. It should be okay for now. Actually, recommended size would be 20 gigs. Okay, wonderful. So now we need to adjust some settings. We technically we can do this in a separate. We need to attach our ISO, choose a disk file, and our disk file in downloads. We need Ubuntu. Okay, so let's start it. So we choose this startup disk. We're starting with that. It's usually installation process takes a few minutes, and just be patient. It also depends on your own host machine, and you have to make sure you assign enough memory to this virtual machine. Generally, installation and how fast this machine will work will depend on assigned memory. Unfortunately, you cannot assign more than you have physical RAM. And it's impossible because what happens when you're running a virtual appliance, your host is sharing its memory with virtual appliance. So basically, if you will allow 2 gigs of RAM to your virtual appliance out of 8 gigs, your host machine will be receiving only 6 gigs of this virtual of the random access memory. While we are installing Ubuntu, I have a news for Windows users that you actually be able to install Ubuntu terminal on your Windows directly on your host to practice your command line skills if you wish. Um, some people just prefer to have Windows command line interface. I mean, Linux command line interface because they used to it more. Some people prefer Windows CLI. I'm going to pause right now while it's loading. So I paused the video while it was installing, and it took about a couple minutes, no longer, to install. And now you can see the GNOME, the desktop of the Ubuntu, and you can just sort of look around and see what you can do with that. Uh, Try to find terminal and type commands in terminal. So I'm giving you a hint. If you will use full screen mode, it will be easier, but all your applications will be on the left. Um, it's still loading due to not too much memory. And right now it's installation process. So if you see a black screen, between try Ubuntu and install Ubuntu, I would tell you to install Ubuntu. Right now, what you saw this desktop of Ubuntu, it's basically like a trial version where you can click around and see what's going on. But our job to have virtual appliance, Ubuntu virtual appliance, so we do install Ubuntu. So what I was saying, when I paused the video, the screen was black and nothing was going on. Just let it be for a few minutes to see. It took me maybe a couple minutes, no longer, until I saw the screen of Ubuntu. Okay, we're good with English. I don't need Russian keyboard at this time, so we will be fine. Normal installation, we will not go with minimal installation. Minimal installation it's for older computers, and usually when you're installing with well, actually, minimal installation will be fine since we didn't give too much RAM to this machine, so we don't need any third-party software. Again, this optional and it's depending on you. If you have like your host machine has more than enough RAM, and by enough, I don't know. Everybody has its own enough number. For example, one of my laptops has 64 gigs of RAM, so for me it's not a big deal to assign 4 gigs of RAM to my virtual machine. So this one has only two and it makes it a little bit slow. So we're gonna do with minimal installation. Technically what we need is just terminal on this machine, right? So we're gonna continue. Okay, the whole process should not take long. And I'm gonna be pausing videos when it's taking longer so we can save some time. Okay, this time it took about a couple minutes as well. Um, Raise disk and install Ubuntu. That's what we're going to do because it's our virtual disk, so we will not lose any information on it. And we just press install now. By the way, if you have older computer um, with Ubuntu on it, you will have better performance on your computer. So if you decide to install Ubuntu on bare metal, and by bare metal I mean like directly as a your host main operating system, uh, I would highly suggest you and recommend you to do so. How you can do this? You can download with the same image of not image ISO of the Ubuntu. You can create a bootable thumb drive. And how to create bootable thumb drive, I also can make a video for you if you decide to do so, or you can find videos online. And in BIOS, you have to make changes to make sure that your computer boots from thumb drive. And when it boots from the thumb drive, you can install it directly on your machine. Uh, I would say that if your machine's still running Windows 7 or 8, I would suggest you to switch to Linux because it has more security and you will be able to practice your command line and learn how to work with Linux. So we're not gonna enter my name. Actually, student. That's what we're gonna call it. And password. My favorite password, which is oops, password didn't match. Let's try them again. Okay. One of the students had a question for me when they typing in password through the terminal. They don't see the password. Uh, it's a feature, not a bug of Linux. Basically, that's how they're protecting password. Instead of seeing dots or stars when you type in password, you don't see anything. I agree it's not comfortable because sometimes you don't know if you made a typo or if you entered more symbols that your password actually contain. But it is what it is. And I just want you to know, not the bug, but the feature. When you will be doing password change lab, that's when you will see this for the first time. Okay, I'm gonna pause this video again until it's done installation. Okay, I just resumed the recording. So this time installation took a little bit over 15 minutes. I was able to get my coffee and finish the cup. So now when installation is over, it would ask us to restart. So we're gonna do restart. While Ubuntu is booting, I would like to talk what is the benefits of having virtual machines on your computer. When you are just learning in the process of learning, you might want to experiment with different operating systems, and for obvious reasons, you cannot install all available operating systems on a single computer with, on bare metal. And at this point, using virtualization would be one of the wise choices. Another that you might want to experiment with this operating systems, installing different software, and maybe try to please remove installation media and then press enter. Okay, so we need to remove the installation media. I haven't noticed this while I was talking. So that's me. And when you experimenting, you might break operating system. So with virtualization, you will be able to save snapshots of the system before you start experimenting with this. And in case this system, like you broke the code, you get some kernel issues or something else, you will can roll back, basically open one of the previous snapshots when Your system was stable. I'm not sure it's because I'm recording at the same time and trying to do installation, but installation definitely takes longer than it usually does. Um, so now we were just waiting to see a desktop. And as you can see, we don't have CD drive right now. We booting from the hard drive. It definitely shouldn't take that long. And I'm going to pause video again. Actually, I see something is going on. Maybe I shouldn't pause. I will show you the beginning of installing Red Hat. Oh, we're not gonna do any online accounts right now because we're just going to keep basic. Okay, my mouse doesn't work right now inside of the VM. Oh, final. So you can work with this if you click on. Remember how I told you when we had the screen at the first time before installation? That's it's a Dex desktop, and you will see all your application on the left side. So you can similar to macOS, but macOS on the bottom. Uh, you can click on the bottom this icon and see the rest of application that available for you. And for example, you need terminal, right? So remember how I told you to change the password? So I just typed the password, but you don't see anything happened. It's haven't been moved. So that's what you were supposed to do for the lab number one. And if you press enter, it will let you to enter new password. And I did enter like very simple password. Basically, I entered QWERTY. Uh, and as you can see, security works. So it doesn't want us to have this simple password. If you will enter some dictionary word, for example, let me enter student. It also will run and say it's too simple because it's checking it's also one of the dictionary words. Um, okay, we just changed successfully password to another one, and as you can see, if we will reboot, we will have to enter different password now. So our Ubuntu machine had been successfully installed, and you can even take the screenshots of this screen when you get. So next, after we will shut down this machine, we'll start installation of Linux Red Hat. I will not go through the entire installation because it will be similar to Ubuntu, and we're powering off. But I'm going to show you how to save a snapshot of this. Okay, so let's create new machine, and this is going to be our Red Hat. Red Hat. It's also Linux, and it's already defined as Red Hat. So we do next. Um, I'm going to assign a little bit more RAM just because I don't want installation process to take as long as Ubuntu. So we go through the exactly same process as we did with Ubuntu. Again, I'm going to create VMDK uh, just because I like to use this virtual appliances later on VMware. It's dynamically allocated. We don't need to split it. Uh, yeah, let's assign 20 gigs to it. 20. So same way, we go to settings, we go to storage, we click on the DVD icon, we choose the disk file. Now it's going to be Red Hat, open. And as you can see, Red Hat itself, it's over 6 gigabytes compared to Ubuntu. And installation would take way longer, so that's why I decided to add more RAM. Okay, and we're going to start. As I said, I'm not going to go through the entire installation process because it might take longer, but it's similar to what we had with Ubuntu. So yes, we're starting with the CD installed. Make sure after you reboot, after installation, you will remove CD, and a new virtual box is supposed to do it automatically, but for some reason back when we did with Ubuntu it didn't. I had to do it. No bootable media is found. System halted. Why? Okay. Um, Power off. Let's go to settings again. What's going on in here? That's our bootable drive. It should work. Yes, it continuously say not bootable medium. Uh, okay. Remember I told you I will show you how to do snapshot and I shut down the Ubuntu, forgot to do this. So you will click on machine and take a snapshot and it will take a snapshot of the session. So right now we're going to reset. Okay, I'm going to stop this video recording and I'll try to figure out what's going on with this particular installation. And after I will figure this out, I will make a new video with Red Hat only.